Hello, my lovely anatomists and physiologists. We are back. We are talking about the digestive system, and we're ready to start getting a little bit more detailed on some of the organs of our GI tract or some of the specific locations, maybe we should say, of our GI tract. So, first part of getting our nutrients is ingestion. And so we say normally that that's happening with the mouth. So we're going to think of our mouth as our entry point. This is where ingestion occurs. This is where we start digestion. So we start it two ways. Remember, we're doing both mechanical mastication, which is our special name for chewing. And we're also here starting chemical digestion. And this is happening with the saliva. Now, the saliva is actually doing several things for us. So let's talk about the saliva just a little bit more. So when we talk about the saliva, so let me just circle it. We're going to see that it's mostly water. So 98 to 99.5% of the saliva is actually water. So this is going to be helpful in actually like lubricating the food as we're moving it through the pharynx and the esophagus. So that'll be very important. It's going to contain, remember, immunoglobulin A or IgA, which is going to be like, remember, our plan A from our antibodies. So it's going to help to prevent pathogen invasion. But we also see an enzyme lysozyme present here. So this is going to be like protective or antimicrobial action for the saliva. So that's super cool. We also see that the saliva has what's called epidermal growth factor. So this is going to be important in helping to stimulate repair of tissue. So your textbook says mother's kiss can be healing. And so we'll edit that and say the caregiver's kiss can be healing, right? Because if you're getting saliva there on a wound, then maybe that's helping to stimulate that tissue to regrow. Maybe this explains when we get a cut, first thing we maybe want to do is stick that in our mouth. That would make sense in terms of both the antimicrobial properties of saliva and now this epidermal growth factor. So that's a new learning for me. That's pretty cool. I was excited, interested to hear about that. When we think about the chemical digestion aspect of saliva, let's list out salivary amylase. And we're going to be talking about a lot of different types of chemicals here. So you're keeping track of each of these. Remember, anything that has an ASE ending is talking about an enzyme. So that will help you keep track. Is it an enzyme? Is it a hormone? What is it? So salivary amylase is an enzyme, and this is going to initially be helpful in breaking down carbohydrates, specifically polysaccharides. So like a starch. And then we'll also see for chemical digestion, we're going to have what's called lingual lipase. So lingual here is talking about the tongue. Lipase is talking about lipids. And so lingual lipase is going to be important in starting the digestion of lipids that you've eaten. We can also remind ourselves that the saliva production is stimulated by remember we called it the cephalic phase of our control. So that's where we said thoughts, smell, sight of food can all get our saliva production increased. And of course, also we talked about that being controlled by the sympathetic nervous system. We make a conscious decision when we're ready to move that food. Let me rephrase. Let me make another note. Remember, we've said the bolus is what we call our food plus our saliva. So let me go back and say we make a conscious decision when we're ready to swallow the bolus. So we've moved the material around in our mouth. We have a sense of like when we're ready to swallow. And so we will be consciously then moving material into the pharynx, which is, we can think of this as the back of the throat. And this is going to move the bolus to the esophagus. Move the bolus to the esophagus. And I think here, all we really need to pick out is that the pharynx, remember, is that combined area with both respiratory and digestive systems. And we've talked about it as being lined with stratified squamous epithelium. And then we've also labeled an oropharynx and a laryngopharynx. So up here in the corner, I have a model of the digestive tract, and we're seeing a sagittal cut through the head. And we can see here, of course, the tongue. We can see the teeth. So you'll be going through structure of the teeth in your lab. We have, of course, the oral cavity. So I'm just going to call this the mouth here. And so that's this first location where we've been. And then from there, we have the oropharynx and the laryngopharynx. And both of these then are collectively referred to as the pharynx, right? And we're saying that that's going to lead to the opening or the tube, that's the esophagus. So I'll be looking at that next. We'll see the salivary glands located in the mouth, and that should satisfy where we are here. Okay, so up next, we're going to follow the bolus. I caught myself. We're going to follow the bolus as it moves into the esophagus and talk about those different phases of swallowing or deglutination. So as always, stay tuned. Take care of yourselves and each other.